is actually better than you're just trying to shove all the information into a person's throat, hoping they will, swallow it, come up to you and say, hey, you know what, I want to buy from you.
Hi everyone, this is Terrence Tam. I have a treat for you today because I have one of the most famous sales trainers in Malaysia. His name is Chong. He is a self-taught salesperson who has actually been in sales for over 18 years with real-world experience, not some theory. And he has trained over 10,000, am I right, Aaron, in the past 2.5 years?
More than 10,000. Yep.
Yeah, more than 10,000 people in the past 2.5 years. And if you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, you've probably seen his face around. So today, I really want to ask him some pressing questions about selling. And so this is going to be a treat. So listen in. I guess, some of my audience and your audience don't fully know who you are. So can you tell us a little bit about your background, how you came into sales? Just tell us about you and why should people listen to you?
Wow, that's a great question. Why should people listen to me? We'll get to that later. I didn't choose to go into sales by choice back when I was in college, probably 18, 19 years ago. I don't look as handsome as I am now. That time I remembered I was like having a final exam where I was trying to get a job after that because my mom told me that, hey, Aaron, I don't have enough money to send you to degree, so you're gonna get a job after your diploma. So I was like, oh shit. When I was having my exam, I was like searching for jobs already. And when I was looking at all the jobs available, because I studied in internet IT, business information system, a little bit to do with programming and networking system. However, when I flipped the newspapers on the vacancy side, and all I could see is degree. Everyone needs a degree. I was like, shit, how can I find a job right now? Those are quite high paying jobs. Then I know that there's a glut of students and there's not enough IT section jobs. So what I did was I tried to find other jobs, and as I was looking for other jobs, my brain started thinking, oh my God, my mom sent me to college with like 30, 40, 50,000 ringgit spent on me for the past 2 years in diploma, right? And if I were to tell her, Mom, I get a job like, not in the field that I study, she would be furious, right? She would have been furious and she would feel like the money wasted. So I was like, okay, now this cannot be. Then I started looking for other jobs. I was like thinking about this. Hey, Aaron, what is the one job that you can see right now that the income has practically no limit, right? Anything that's higher than the basic, because back then the basic was very low, about $700. And in USD, it's about less than 200 basic for any other jobs. I was like, wow, that's very low, right? So eventually I found one job on the vacancy, which is sales. And I didn't go to it by chance. It's like, okay, this is a sales job. It's the nearest to my home, so I can save up a little bit of expenses. Then they still have commission. So boom, I went for an interview and I scored it immediately, all right, during my exam. And I started the sales job the second day after my final exam. So my final exam was Saturday. I had a rest on Sunday. And boom, I started working until today, nonstop. And that's the beginning of my sales journey. Then I worked, I was selling mobile phones. Then after that, a couple of years, I started my own mobile phone business for a couple of years, 1 to 2 years. Then I switched to becoming a sales manager because the mobile phone business was like going down because all the other, I would say like the telcos, the service providers are picking up mobile phones and giving like plans today, on installment. So people no longer need those kind of mobile phone shops. So I switched to becoming a sales manager. And that is the part when I found out my sales skills that I thought was very good was bullshit. Now, what do I mean? Back then when you start selling, right, normally the seniors and the boss and the managers will teach you to sell using features and benefits and discounts. And so what happened was, as they were teaching me that, I got very good because it's easy to learn about product knowledge. Back then, very easy. They have a book of, like GSM Arena nowadays, right? We can go to gsmarena.com. They can see all the phones with all the features, every single thing written down. There is a booklet like that before the internet has we can access internet. There's a booklet like that we can actually refer to. So we have that booklet and we all just open that and read out the features to the customer and hoping the customer would buy, right? So that was what we are doing. And I got very good at that because it doesn't require a lot of skills anyway. It just requires some memorization and some techniques that you learn, like pushy techniques that you actually tell to the customer to get them to buy. So I was doing that for about 6 to 8 years of my life, if I could remember correctly. Then when I switched to becoming a sales sales manager. I got a job hired as a sales manager to sell luxury artworks, luxury furniture, which is like single cut wood. It's a piece of hardwood that they actually cut into a furniture, and also paintings. So that's when I tried using the same skill.
What was the ticket value like? How much were each of these pieces?
Cheapest one would be like 3 figures, but it's still like a single piece that it's very heavy. That if you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. But the most expensive piece could be like, a piece of table, a dining table for 6 could cost you 20,000 ringgit. And a piece of artwork that time would cost you a few thousand up to 30, 40, 50,000. Right? And that time, the most expensive piece, after I've been working there for about 6 months, my boss brought in back then, he's from Singapore. He brought in back then a artwork from a very famous Chinese artist that was like booming back then. And his artwork were in the regions of 6 figures. The cheapest one was 145,000, right? The most expensive pieces, 7 figures.
Right. So those techniques that applied in the mobile phone industry.
I tried. So here's the thing. I tried, okay? So I was like selling those things. Then I was like thinking, hey, this wood, right? I was like telling about the features. It was called a rain tree wood. It's a swar wood from Indonesia and Thailand as well, right? It's not the most hardest one, but it's a hardwood. It's the softest of the hardwood. So we are talking about, all right, this is, the features like, it's kiln dry to about like 6 to 7% humidity, moisture level. So we're talking about that, where it came from, it is sustainable and all these things, right? I thought I was doing a good job because that was what my boss asked me to do. Study about our wood. Tell them all the good things about our wood. And they were like, They turn around and laugh. Those customers that comes in, because the showroom I was working in retail was at the most affluent part in the town. So all these customers are like, super rich. You don't get like 20, 30, 40, 50 customers like, the supermarket come into your shop. Probably one day you get like 3 to 5 to 10 maximum.
Wow.
Yep. So it's like very low foot traffic. Now, when the customer come in, got to try your best, be able to upsell them and close the sales. So when I was trying all that, right, and every single time I tried, I was like baffled by it. This is what I learned from my boss, right? Why isn't people buying? And these are things that I'm damn good at. And it makes me feel like, Aaron, do you actually know how to sell? I was like doubting myself already.
And this was after 8 years of selling mobile phones.
Exactly. No way this is happening. I was like, wow. I use all the techniques, all the things that I know. But the good thing is that I'm daring and willing to try because I'm in sales. So I was like, I wasn't shy. I just move up to people and talk to people. So that's a good thing that I can actually practice. Wow. Then I found out that I wasn't good. Then I started looking for answers. And I asked my boss and manager back then, because when I started that job, right, my manager actually left me after 2 days with no training.
As in, you quit the job and...
Yeah, I got a job as a sales manager. I replaced his spot here. He went to Singapore. So he left me after 2 days without a single training at all. So I was like, wow, you're good enough to be on your own already. I was hired on the spot. And okay, cool. So I tried all my techniques and everything. So it wouldn't work. Then the piece of artwork, let's go back to the piece of art. The piece of art that he brought in half a year later was about 6 figures. And they had it for 1 year and no one was able to sell it. Singapore, Malaysia, no one. We actually created a gallery in another full part of the town, right? Another showroom, just gallery to display the artwork, and nobody bought anything. Nobody.
So none of the artwork could sell even in Singapore or Malaysia.
That 6 piece, that 6 figure artwork, nobody could sell, right? And so back then, I still remember this vividly. After I tried to look for new ways and I start to ask myself, Aaron, hey, I know something is not working already, so I got to look for a new way. So when I started to look for new ways, right, I do some self-study, I go and research. Back then, luckily, we had internet and I start looking online, try to search, because our company don't have any sales training. The boss being the boss, so, when we are not having a lot of profit, they wouldn't want to spend this kind of money, right? So after that, I go and search, I go and learn on my own. I learn from other people. So there's a lot of other furniture shops around as well, very high end. One piece of sofa could cost you 20, 30, 40, 50,000. So I went there and looked for a friend. He was like telling some of his stuff to me. I was like, okay, so that's good. And my turning point was when there's one time, I remember there's a client that came into my shop and she actually bought a table. She liked it. I thought it was luck. It's actually luck because she came in, she liked the table and she bought a $20,000 table. So she was asking me, Aaron, do you have like any other friends that sell furniture? Because we just moved to this new area, right? It's a bungalow, all right? A very huge house, a triple-story house. So she asked me, she was buying furniture for the new house. Then she asked me to recommend. So I remember I had a friend in Bangsar. So I recommended her to go there, and this boss in 2 hours time sold 700K on the invoice to her.
So you sold 29,000 and he sold 700,000.
700,000. I was like, what the hell is happening? I was like looking at him, I was baffled. No, that kind of feeling. You brought the customer there. you can only sign 29,000 worth of deal and you are like looking at him. So I was asking the boss, hey boss, can you teach me what you did? No, I got commission from that. It's good because we just recommend we go. Then I asked the boss to teach me something. Then okay, say okay, I'll teach you. Right? I don't think he will teach if he didn't get any sales from there, right? So he taught me that, and I got a good sum of commission as well. But he asked me this question, Aaron. Now I can teach you, but nothing is for free. Then I know already. You're gonna get commission from here, right? Okay. So he gave me 10% commission actually. So that's a huge sum, 50% of your commission. Then I said,
Right.
okay,
So
cool.
that was like
30-something thousand.
35,000 you had to
At
pay
least,
him.
at least.
Right. Okay.
So to me, that was huge money back then, when I was like 20-something year old. So I couldn't imagine having that kind of money. I was like thinking, but I don't know what happened to me that time. I was like not thinking anything without a heartbeat. Okay, cool, no problem. Because I saw what he did. So after that, he coached me and teach me a little bit, right? Then I started to understand that the question that we need to ask ourselves is not how do we sell better. It's to ask ourselves, why do people buy? And we have to shift our thinking to the consumer end, to the buyer's end, and start thinking that way. And that was my changing point in my whole entire sales career and until today. And started from that spark onwards, that insight onward, I started looking for human psychology, how people make decisions, and studied all these things. And this is how today came to be, that I came out and teach people. And back then I was like thinking, you know what, these are the things that not many people want to do. So I start practicing it. Eventually I got results. So the results that give me the confidence to know that, hey, this is working, is when I was using the same skills that boss teach me, right? That friend taught me to persuade and convince. I don't like to use the word convince, but at that point, I was like trying to convince, my mindset was trying to convince the boss, because he said this 6-figure artwork, we usually display on our showroom, but we don't bring it to an art expo. Back then, we are already participating in Art Expo Malaysia, which is a yearly event where they put all these kind of cheaper artworks. There are also people that put expensive artwork, right, from Taiwan and everything. But my boss was being influenced by the organizer. The organizer told my boss was like, hey, this art expo, the maximum that you can easily sell is about 20,000. Don't put anything more expensive. And he told me that thing, right? Then I used his thinking, all right? And I told him something that convinced him otherwise. And he allowed me to say, the last word I remember that I said to him, give me a chance. Let me prove it to you. You got nothing to lose, but I'll take full responsibility. Because I knew he said he was risky, like a few 100,000 there. If you put 2 pieces, it's like $1 million there already, right? And he was like worried that people are gonna ruin the artwork because it's like a public place. There's children coming to that art expo as well. So he was really afraid. I was like, I'll take full responsibility, right? So I reduced all the risk for him. Then he said, okay. Then because of that, I arranged for the whole thing to be there, the first time ever. And that particular first art expo, it was our second or third art expo, and I sold 2 of the most expensive piece plus the 30,000 one. So in total, I sold about 467,000. That's close to $500,000 ringgit in 3 days.
Nice.
And that is when I know this is fun. This is working. This is actually better than you're trying to shove all the information into a person's throat, hoping they will, swallow it and digest it and come out to you and say, hey, you know what? I want to buy from you, right? So that is what happened. Now, that is the beginning of the confirmation and the confidence that I have that, this is working already. And I start moving forward from there. And after that, I was like jumping out of this business because I knew that time, if I can make my boss, nobody can sell in the company, not even Singaporean, the best salesperson, I can sell $500,000. And that time, I know that if I continue to work for my boss, I will make him rich. Because right now I got a skill that he doesn't even have, right? And I was like thinking to myself, Aaron, why don't you, make yourself rich? Because I know that he has a very good hefty profit margin on there. If I go and sell the artwork on my own, I would have been rich very, very quick. And then it was giving me a confirmation that I'm in the right industry. Why? Because sales is the only industry that I found out that you can make people's maybe 10 years salary. You can shorten your time by 10, 20, 30 years comparing to other people that's working in 9 to 5.
True.
Right? Literally compressed time. And that is where I noticed, wow, this can be done. When I was selling low ticket items, it feels like I'm still working in a 9 to 5 job. But when you're selling higher ticket items, you can get high commission and see the profit that your boss can make. You know that you can compress time. So that's why I started my first ever multi-million-dollar business, which is distributing electronic darts machine. And I've never sold, there's 3 things that happens there. I don't have the product back then. Because after I quit the job from this luxury artwork furniture and everything, I was like resting for 2 months. So I take a break. I had never a break in my life. So I took a break for 2 months. I went to Bangkok. I came back, right? Then I was talking to my friends and we still don't know what to do. And my friends also doing business. So he got chased out from his father. He was like arguing with the father. He was clang. So he got chased out. He moved to KL and we're like always coming out because we are the only 2 that had no job. Everybody had a job and working, right? And suddenly we stumbled onto a darts cafe where they do electronic darts machine. So at that cafe, when I was going in there, we were playing the darts machine with our friends. We were drinking back then. And it somehow hit our brain, right? We were enjoying the game, Like, we were like, hey, we are spending, we are a bit gambling there, like betting each other. So like
Yep.
who wins, who lose, who buy the drink, right? So it's like normal things. But at the end, right, I say, hey, spend a lot. How much we spend already? We are like calculating, okay, I owe you this, but it feels like we don't win any money. Okay, we paid for the beer and the drinks. It feels like we don't win any money among us. So where did the money go? And then we realized about $200 to $300 went into the machine in the matter of about 3 hours to 4 hours. Then it hits my brain, hey, this thing is making money without anybody selling it. The machine is standing there by its own, but we're feeding money into the machine. So it's like very passive. Oh shit, let's go and do this, right? And we're like so hype up. We talk about, and I was the IT literate guy, so I was like doing all this kind of research and everything. So what happened then? We don't have an investor, we don't have the product, we don't have the customer. So we go and close the investor on the money first with this idea, right? And then I found a source of machines, which we flew to Korea first and flew to Spain to get it, and we closed them. We don't have any background, mind you. We don't even have the
So
account set up yet. We go and
how much did you raise from the investor?
about 10 million.
Wow. Okay.
Not
So that is
in total,
oh,
in
okay.
total. So it's like staggered, and so I was trying to know what does the investor want. I look at them entirely from their point of view, right? With the new skills, new principles that I have. So I was closing in on that, and I closed the supplier using the same skill. And after we closed the supplier, I closed the customer without even having the machine yet in Malaysia, and they have to wait 3 months for it and paid 1.6 million to us before they even got the product.
Wow.
So I was like, damn, this is fun. So I was like, we're deal brokering, we can close people using this skill. And I was like, wow, this is quite versatile, right? And there I didn't give too much thought, so it started from there. So after I got a lot more time on hand as that one, we went from 0 to 7 figures in 1 year without doing a lot of prospecting, because I closed another company using one of the techniques that I'm using. Right, close another company to share their customer base with us, and I don't even hire a single salesperson. I was the only salesperson inside the company with my friend, and the rest was technician and accounting and everything, right? And we went from 0 to 7 figures in 1 year, and
Right.
zero
So
to eight
just to be
figures.
clear, you leverage on someone else's customer base.
Yep, I don't even need to
Yep.
do any single prospecting, right?
Yep.
I just do. We're just servicing the customer, and that's it. We're closing
Yep.
deals every single day. Every single day there'll be message, there'll be call coming in, right? So we use a methods of leveraging. Okay, so another method that is really powerful. So what happened was, as I grew the business, by the third year, I've closed my biggest ever deal. It's my first 8 figure deal in the business, an 11 million ringgit deal, right?
Wow. Nice.
So we went from 0 to 8 figures in just 3 years, right? And that was what happened. And I didn't give too much thought about the sales skills and everything. So as we got more successful and we were doing great, right? And what happened was, I got friends that start noticing, and they start asking me to share, right? And then back then, because we know how to sell, but doesn't mean we know how to run the business. So I was like thinking, oh, the
Yep.
business is not doing good. We might not know how to control the cost. We might not know how to have the SOP and stuff like that. So we went to look for a business mentor, especially me, but not my friend. Went to look for a business mentor. And back then, my mentor was like noticing me as well, right? And say, hey, Aaron, your skills of selling, you should teach to other people. And I was like, why should I be teaching to other people? I mean, do people
Yeah.
want to pay money to learn? I mean, we got no idea at all, right? It wasn't in our
Right.
radar at that time. So it's like,
Yep.
trust me. He said, trust me. I hired sales trainer before. None of them are using your principles and the way you think, right? Because you've been talking to me, I know they're not like that. So they're very by the books. And I say, what do you mean? You try it, then you know. Okay, so I took up the challenge, because me being me, I took up the challenge. I want to try this. Then I explored it, and I haven't come up with my syllables and everything, and my courses and the modules. So everything is still inside here. It was not very structured. It was still inside here. I took a long time to put it down to paper. Now, before that, I had my mentee back then, one person that came up to me because of this mentor. So we went to a retreat in a mastermind. So we went there, and I got because my mentor started noticing me that I had a lot of people always surrounding me when I start opening my mouth and talking to people. I was like talking to one like you, right? We're talking one to one. Then he started noticing there's a lot of people surrounding me.
Naturally.
Naturally, I was like, why? Because
Yep.
it must be something that I was talking making sense to them. And one of the participants, who is my longest mentee right now, I never had any student or any mentee. So he came to me directly and said, I want to learn how to talk like you. I want to learn how to sell like you. He saw a lot of people and he said, because every time I see you, there's a group of people surrounding you, right? I want to be like you. I said, why? I mean, I'm not good in anything. Even my business are not like very super successful and things like that, right? And I just know how to sell. So he's like, it's because of the way you talk and the way people would listen to you. Then I said, okay. So I just like for fun, I didn't know it was good. So for fun. Then after that, this mentee, after he learned from me, he fixed some of his problem immediately. And he invited me, starting to invite me to a couple of events that he attended and he organizing. So as a speaker, I said, I've never spoken before. Never mind, just try. Right.
Mm-hmm.
That is the start of my journey of this recent 2 years before the pandemic
Mm-hmm.
happened,
Right.
started my journey to speak to people. And back
Mm.
then I was still damn skeptical about the skills that I have.
Mm.
Why? Because I didn't think that people would really want to learn sales. But when more and more people after my speaking event, back then we still can do physical event, they came up to me and say, Aaron, your things I can apply to my team. It's very useful. I was like, serious not? Because in my brain, I was always thinking
Mm.
about this. Everybody that do sales should know this. Everybody that do business should know this already.
Mm.
Because if I
Mm.
can discover it by myself and I go and learn and follow that path, right? Then I was like thinking everybody should be able to do the same because you should be stuck at some place. Little did I know it was not true. I was like consumed by my own
Mm.
thinking. I didn't know. Then I started teaching other people. And after pandemic happened, there's a lot of virtual events, multi-speaker event, right? So they invited me as well. I was like, okay. So I went and give a talk and there's a lot of good reviews. A lot of people said my stuff were like worth much more than whatever they've been paying for or
Mm.
one of the life changing. I was like, why is people saying that? Until this year in 2022 where it gave me the biggest confirmation of whatever that I'm doing is the right way and actually is helping people because one of the biggest cable TV in Malaysia, Astro, they had
Mm.
millions and millions of viewers every single time and a lot of subscribers. They
Mm.
invited me to their Astro Business Talk, the
Nice.
fourth version, right? I was never uh, having the idea that when I started sales, uh, right after college, right, because I was C+ student, I never thought
Mm-hmm.
it would come to this. It was never my plan, but somehow it ended like that. I'm glad that it ended so, and that's why I think this is one of the reasons that we're talking here today.